Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tales of Three, your favorite queer D&D-based podcast. My name is Dusty. My pronouns are they, she, and I play Ivy Nightbreeze Tinkerfey, whose pronouns are she, her. And today is an EP sort of day.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ariana. My pronouns are she, her. I play Alara Spinelspark, whose pronouns are also she, her, and I am wide awake on my second cup of coffee. And I would like everyone to know that I am genuinely obsessed with 2O's witty banter. It's just so good. It makes me so happy. They're nodding. For the audience.
Yeah, we're nodding. We're agreeing.
You should just feel our nodding energy.
Honestly.
You don't feel it?
Hello, everyone. My name is Waira. My pronouns are she, they. And I play Varys, whose pronouns are he, they. And today, I am also an EP bitch. So, just the vibes. Two of us is asleep, one of us is super awake. And I want that energy.
Among ancient pine trees and in the dark waters of undisturbed lakes, strange creatures are hiding, beings out of myth and folklore. While they are invisible to most, you know them for what they really are. Trolls, ghosts, giants, and stranger monsters still. They are the Vaesen. On each episode of Spirits and Monsters of Old Seattle, the cast plays the RPG Vaesen by Free League Publishing and encounters odd creatures, quirky NPCs, and unusual circumstances. The show is a mix of comedy, history, horror, and character drama. Set in the town of Seattle during the late 1800s, the PCs will work together to solve mysteries and help resolve conflicts between the Vaesen and unsuspecting humans before things turn deadly, all while they try to keep dark secrets hidden from one another. Each 90-minute episode features music and soundscapes that will transport you into this world of folk horror and occasional whimsy. New episodes air every other Wednesday on iTunes, Spotify, and all major podcatchers, and on their website, www.spiritsandmonsters.com.
A note regarding content warnings. This campaign is a dark fantasy that deals consistently with topics of body horror, complicated relationship dynamics, emotional distress, fantasy violence, gore, mechanized spiders, mental health and illness, profanity, and romantic and sexual relationships. A full list of episode-specific content warnings can always be found in the show notes of each episode. Last time, Titania removed Varys' curse and had a private sit-down with him, where he told the queen all about his ordeals in the Unseelie. Meanwhile, just outside the room, Ivy tried to convince Alara that Varys was not going to be smote, smited, or any other sounding word by the queen. The trio, of course, made it out of the castle unscathed, and back in Ivy's room, Varys opened up a bit about their past while dancing around some uncomfortable topics. Alara's obsession with the self-cleaning laundry basket led to the trio finding out that Titania enchanted some of Beatrice's belongings to hold her magical signature as a sweet memento for Ivy. Varys showed Ivy the news article that showed the Bone Wolf escaping from Vitrum, while Alara made notes of things to ask Basil, mainly about magical rocks and the inaccurate map he gave Ivy of Elisora. Ivy told Alara and Varys that Nemeth was the one who pulled her through the portal, leaving all three to wonder if the looming war was closer than Ivy anticipated. Our trio slept soundly, even Varys, who was not plagued by a hag's nightmare. And we'll pick up now the morning after. All right, so I think that the night passes, no nightmare from Varys.
Yay.
I think Alara wakes up before everyone else, and she sneaks out of bed, and she gets dressed.
Alara's up early.
In what?
Nah, she keeps her jammies on. She's wearing like striped pajama shorts and like a baggy t-shirt, and she puts her boots on, and she puts her jacket on, and she leaves the room. I don't know if she needs to make a stealth check.
Is she stealthing?
Well, she's being quiet.
Intentionally?
Yeah.
Then yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. That's actually good. I mean, it's not great. It's like middling. It's an 18 total. It would probably be against your passive perceptions because you're sleeping, right?
Yeah, my
Yeah,
passive's 18.
Meets it, beats it.
I think you both hear something, but it's one of those things where like you just kind of turn over and go back to sleep. She leaves the room and she takes a 20-minute trip through the manor, through the estate.
Where is she going?
Outside. She's going outside to the practice grounds. Can she find it on her own? Is she like, or is it like hard to find?
I think if she goes to the backyard, she can look across the way and see a bunch of like a training ground, a bunch of training dummies.
So she goes out there, and she's gonna practice. She practices her crossbow.
Mhm.
She takes her glove out. She sparks it up, and
How loud is this?
it's not super loud. It's. I mean, the arrows are like thudding into the thing. You know, her electricity noise. She's under her breath. She's going. She's like working on like a catchphrase, you know. So she's like, "All right, team, everybody, watch out! I cast shock and shove," and then she shoves. She like palms the mannequin or the test, whatever it is, the dummy.
Yeah.
And it like you see the electricity go through it. And it doesn't move, obviously, right? Because it's like stationary. And then she does some where she's like running. So like she'll run back like 20 feet and she'll be like, "Watch out now. Alara Spindlespark coming in with the shock and shove." And then when she gets there, she slams into it and she shocks it again. She definitely does one where she like puts her hand up like Ivy did when she did Call Lightning. And she like pretends that like the lightning is like hitting her glove and empowering it. And then she like throws her hand out. But then nothing happens because she has actually touched the thing. So she's like, okay, well, that one's not going to work. And that's what she's doing.
Make a perception check.
6.
Yep, nobody's watching you. For the audience, I'm halfway through this little routine. The paladins are standing on the balcony watching her do this.
Nice. They don't say anything?
No, they're just watching. They're both in their PJs. They've got cups of coffee.
Xandros, the audience will watch as he leaves the window, comes back with a bottle of some sort of alcoholic beverage and pours it into his coffee.
Obsessed. And then I think at some point, while Alara's doing that, Varys and Ivy will come to wakefulness, and it's just the two of them. Alara's gone.
I think Varys wakes up groggily and like kind of rubs his eyes. Good morning.
Good morning.
He looks around.
Laura?
He lifts up the pillows. Laura.
Ivy goes to the window and looks out.
Can she see it?
Sees, yeah. she sighs and she's like, "You're going to have to collect her."
What do you mean? He gets up and comes over the window.
They see Laura. I think this is the moment where she's like got her hand up in the air.
You see like Varys cross one arm over his chest and rest the other on his arm and this like pinch the bridge of his nose.
Now you watch her from the window.
Mm-hmm.
She does like a run and then she goes up to the mannequin and she like dodges left, dodges right, and then like slides around it and shocks it from behind.
Make an attack.
Oh no, it's a 5.
Please eat shit, yes.
I have a high plus to hit. It's a 12.
Yeah, you barely smack this thing across the face.
No, in the back of the head because I'm behind it.
Hey, barely. It like glances off the top of the head. You're like, oh.
She's like, oh.
You know, I'm glad she's practicing, to be honest, but that's not your...
No. Mm-mm. No, my parents have no need for a training ground. That is the Paladin's training ground, which is why I said you're going to have to go to collect her.
Oh.
He just nods, like resigning himself. I think. All right, I'll be back. And kind of like straightens his hair and like pulls on some boots, fixes his clothing and heads out.
Ivy grabs her robe, which is this like really nice like black silk robe that has embroidery all over it, and tightens it around her waist, and she'll go out to the balcony to watch.
Varys, as you approach now, and Ivy, you see this from the balcony, Alara's got her crossbow out, right? She's running, and she runs up, and she stops. And then she aims the crossbow, and she shoots it for a 14 on the die.
That hits.
It sinks into, like, the shoulder, and then you hear her go, Varys, Varys, Ivy, oh no! And then she runs up with the glove. She, like, does her shock and shove. She's like, "Get away from my friends!" And she shoves it, and then she's like, "Don't worry, guys, I gotcha." She's like sweating.
As he approaches, he overhears that, and he waves his hand in the air, and you see vermilion smoke coalesce, and he casts sending. It's like, I'm not sure I want to interrupt her, Ivy, honestly. She's reliving a power fantasy.
Can I respond with sending?
Yes, you can.
You hear Aw, so sweet. Maybe just watch for a little bit and see what else she does. Make a perception check, Varys.
I see into the next dimension. 22.
Yeah, you notice the paladins are just watching her. Xandros is pouring a suspicious liquid into his coffee cup.
Okay.
But they're not like hostile. Like they're not about to be like, hey, get out the fuck off our property. I think they're just like genuinely watching.
I think he does like a little small wave to let them know that he sees them. I think Xandros kind of nods.
Lysandra doesn't wave.
Alexandra's too enwrapped in what what Alara's doing.
She's watching wide-eyed and confused. Alara starts backing up. And you can see she's like doing it like stealthily. And then she gets back to where her jacket is because I think she left her jacket on the floor. And she reaches into it and she pulls out the leather belt thing that usually goes around, like that she wears around her legs. And she loops it over one foot. She loops it over the other foot. She pulls it back. She launches 3 rocks at this thing, right? Hold on, let me roll.
Uh-huh.
Okay, 19 on the die, so it hits. And then after she does it, she whips the leather band off of her feet and she does like a roll in the grass. And then she stands up and she's in like a fighting stance with her glove on. She runs back to the dummy. She like whips her hand around and she pushes it into the chest and she's like, shock and shove.
I think Varys is just nodding, watching her.
She pretends that it's dead and she's like, see, that's what happens. First you get shocked and then you get shoved. No, because technically it's at the same time you get a shock and shove. And she points her finger.
She hears a slow clap behind her.
Oh my god, she literally jumps. Like if she jumps out of her shoes. No. She jumps and she turns around. And she's like, she wipes her brow. Like this is a lot of exercise for her.
Yeah.
Oh, good morning. Hi.
Good morning. I see you are hard at work.
I am practicing all my skills.
Including witty one-liners.
How long were you standing there?
A little bit.
Well, you know, I have to practice them. They don't come naturally to me like they do for you guys. So the ones that I said don't count.
Understood.
I'm still working on the perfect one. Did you see my accuracy though?
I did. It was impressive. I think it's
Thanks.
dead for sure.
It got shock and shoved so many times.
How long have you been out here?
A while.
Paladins yell 2 hours now.
You see they pull up chairs to the window. They're just eating their breakfast and watching.
A long time. I got my workout in for the day for sure.
You hear from the balcony of the Night Breezes, good job, Alara.
Thank you.
Do you want to make another perception check?
5.
No, you're good.
Do you need to continue training or are you done for the morning?
I think we should just train all day, you know, and just tell Titania that we have to prioritize, you know, things.
If only we weren't already pre-assigned court duties today.
What if we just don't go? What happens?
I think we would be in for worse punishment, probably. If I had to guess.
Paladins nod from where they are. You're 100% listening to this. This is Breakfast and a Show.
Well, then I guess I'm done for the day.
Though if you're interested in all-day training sessions, I can certainly arrange that.
She narrows her eyes like she thinks about it. No, this is a trick to get me to work out, I think.
I don't need to trick you, you just did it yourself.
She nods. I feel like that was enough, you know, for like a while. Once every couple of months, you know, like one good training session. You just get it all in at one time. And then...
It's not good for you, actually.
Okay, well, I'm sure a cleric can like heal me right up if I'm gonna be sore and stuff.
This is true.
Are you gonna work out?
Probably not today. We need to get ready for court soon, because it starts fairly early. So...
Oh, so you've come to fetch me.
I certainly have.
What if I just ran away?
You can certainly try.
There are witnesses.
She gets like this really mischievous look on her face. You want to see something cool?
Always.
She like whirls her hand around and you hear this like buzzing, which I think is a little bit familiar at this point to both of you, is like the whirring of like her bots when there's like a huge amount of them. And you watch these silver bots come swarming out of her pocket in like almost like the shape of like a tornado, and they envelop her and she disappears and reappears 90 feet in the grounds. Like are there trees anywhere?
There's like a brick wall, and then past that is forest.
So then she disappears 90 feet closer to the brick wall, and then she starts running.
I think he waits. He like watches. He's gonna watch her do that. He just kind of like nods, like puts his hands in his pockets and rocks back and forth on his feet and waits for her to get a little closer to the wall with an eyebrow quirked. He's just like, why is she running?
She's running away from her.
Laura, where do you think you're going?
She doesn't answer.
Okay. Is she running for the brick wall?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. As soon as you get to the brick wall, you watch as like the wall before you, there's like this vermilion outline of a door that appears.
Mm-hmm.
And then the brick wall fades to a swirl of vermilion, and you make a dexterity saving throw.
7.
Perfect. You run full tilt into like towards this wall and through the vermilion doorway.
Mm-hmm.
And Ivy, you watch as another vermilion red doorway outline kind of manifests right beside Varys and fills in this like swirl, and then Alara runs out of it.
Ivy claps.
She stops short when she realizes what happened.
The door closes.
And she looks at Ivy clapping, and then she looks back at Varys.
He raises an eyebrow.
That's not fair.
It's not.
No.
The 90-foot head start was fair.
I mean, yeah, you run really faster than me.
That's fair. He could have almost caught her in one round, actually.
He wanted to show off.
Yeah.
She picks up her jacket.
Says, I can carry you in if you prefer.
She stomps. She's stomping back to Ivy's house, dragging her jacket behind her.
He calls out, it was a valiant effort.
The paladins are so amused.
But he follows Alara back inside.
When they get back into the room, Alara like drops her jacket at the door and kicks her boots off. Hi, Ivy.
I think she's trying to stifle a laugh. She's like, good morning.
Does Varys come like in behind her?
Yep. Well, shortly after, he's a little behind. She can say whatever she wants.
No, she like when he gets in there, she like eyes like over her shoulder. I tried to run away.
You did.
Did you see my cool move though?
I did.
It was impressive, I won't lie.
Mm-hmm. Xandros and Lysandra also thought it was.
Were they watching?
She like looks at you. She's like, did you not notice they were watching you the whole time?
No, I was pretty preoccupied.
Well, breakfast is ready.
She nods. You know, having a tier 7 mage around is no fun.
I think it's very fun.
He shrugs. I could have ran after you if you prefer.
Well, that was the whole point, and then I got a head start, you know? And then I was gonna climb the wall and slip away into trees.
Didn't she leave her jacket behind?
Yeah.
Yes, she was gonna run off without her jacket.
Without your jacket?
Mm-hmm. I was just gonna wait it out until court was over.
You didn't think she would send guards for you?
Maybe.
She's going to shock and shove her way out of it.
No, I'll warp myself out of it.
That's true too. How many times can you do that?
Think they have enough juice for twice a day before they have to recharge.
That'll be useful.
Mm-hmm.
She nods. Well, I need to take a shower now. First, she backs out of the door.
I think when she leaves, he looks at Ivy and he's like, sometimes, you know, I think we take turns being the adult in the group.
100%. It's a weird day, though, when she doesn't have the brain cell.
Oh, I think she's got a brain cell. It's just focused on the wrong thing today.
So they eat, they shower.
Yeah.
What are they wearing?
Alara's outfit is pants today, which I bet she's excited for it.
She is.
They are like a navy blue pant that's high-waisted with embroidery all up the side and around the cuff, as well as the band on top. You're starting to see a trend with like filigree everywhere. Very like ornamental swirling filigree in almost everything, including the billowy white shirt that accompanies it. There's embroidery along the top and then down the center of it as well. And there's also this like cape thing
Love it.
that attaches via the shirt. So there's nothing that goes around her neck. It attaches via like the sleeves and rests there.
Cool.
That is an ombre effect of dark blue down to like a lighter blue, as well as filigree everywhere. And then it does come with flats. She would like to wear the flats, or she can wear penny loafers from the other outfit, whatever she would like.
She'll wear the flats, I guess.
And then Varys's outfit is another sort of like
layered
look.
Mm-hmm.
But again, as with the previous one, the layers are super light, so he's not going to feel like suffocated by the layers. This one has a black set of pants, a black overshirt, and then like the big pieces are these like, it's this like vest thing that has big stiff shoulders that goes down to the that goes down to like the top of his boots, and it's in gold dragon scales.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
There's also a belt that cinches at the waist that's got a gold belt buckle.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then Ivy's is this like ball gown dress. It's got a sweetheart neckline, and the sleeves rest on her shoulders, forming a cape that goes down to the floor, and her like arms can rest inside and be hidden, or they can be out. It is a dark royal blue with a gold brocade all over it.
Aw.
Very nice.
Everybody looks so fancy.
Yeah.
You all look lovely. And she kind of like does like a gesture with her hand and like bows.
Oh, Ivy's also wearing really tall heels again.
Nice.
So she's like 5'8", 5'9".
Woo. Monster heels.
Holy shit. Holy shit.
That's what she used to wear almost every day.
Are there pockets on her in her pants? Or are they
Very
just
shallow
anywhere?
pockets, but yes.
Okay.
They're more for like looks. They are for
Yeah.
functionality.
How about Varys? Has he got pockets?
Deep pockets that go down to his knees. No, I'm kidding.
Hiding so many weapons in there. No.
Alara takes some stuff out of her jacket pockets, and because her sleeves are tapered, they're like billowy sleeves that are like tapered on the end, and she sleight of hands some things up her sleeve.
So they're just rattling around in her sleeve.
They will be when they start walking.
I just want to see if I notice.
Yeah, me too.
She got a
18.
let's see. I think you beat her. She's got a high sleight of hand.
16.
So 8 plus 9 is 17.
Ivy doesn't notice, but Varys does.
So I think you, Varys, you see like at the tail end, you just kind of, you know the gesture, I think, of like, she's got it in her hand and she just literally pushes it up into her sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
And then she looks at everyone and she's like, okay.
So, I have functional pockets if you would like to
What?
store anything.
Oh, she takes out her worry stone. She takes out some lip balm. She takes out the small tin of healing salve. She takes out like a crystal looking gem and kind of looks like a Swiss Army knife.
What?
Hello?
It's like a little, maybe like, it's like 3 inches long, and you can tell that it's got like a little thing that kind of can pop out. And she hands it to you.
He puts them in his pockets. Just let
Thank
me know
you.
when you want them.
Okay.
And I agree. You both look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Ivy finishes wrestling a bow on Bia.
Oh,
Nah.
even Bia gets to go to court?
Mhm.
Okay. Ready? Do we have to like do any, like, do we have to just, do we just sit there?
I would
Pretty
assume.
much.
I don't think that they would want us to intervene in the politics.
Oh, do we get to give our input? Because that would make it a lot more interesting if we could be like,
I don't think they care to hear our input, but
If asked, yes, but most likely you will not be asked.
so it's going to be really boring then. Do you get to give your input?
I have before, but again, if asked.
Only if they ask us.
Mhm.
So don't talk, don't react. Do you have to have like a poker face for like, you don't
Yes.
want to give anything away?
Yes, because weird things will be asked.
and you don't want to insult people, I assume. So
Okay. This will be great.
you're going to vortex warp out of here again.
Well, I have one more charge left.
I know you do. I'm gonna watch. Take me with you if you do.
I can only take one person with me. Well, no, I can. It's only it only works for one being. You see, if I had my pockets, you could hop into my pocket, and then I can take you with you in my jacket. But why the face?
If we go into your pocket, wouldn't we suffocate after 10 minutes?
Well, we wouldn't stay in there for 10 minutes. Ivy and I were fine when we went in there. We weren't in there for 10 minutes though, but it was fine. It was really dark.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a bunch of things on the floor, but I can't take my jacket, right?
Unless you can find a way to make it into a bag or something, no.
No, I didn't have time to do that this morning. Okay, well, let's get this over with.
All right. And they go. I think there is a guard waiting out front of the estate
Why?
to bring us there, to make sure that we actually go there.
Fair.
We get there, and so the three of us walk into this room, and it's a room that Ivy has been in countless times. It's the first time that Varys and Alara have walked in. This room is massive. Massive. It is circular in nature, so it's like basically a complete circle, along with the opening. There's two separate openings, one that generally you take, and then one sort of like that's off to the side. The first thing I think you notice is the giant living tree in the center of this room. Then the second thing you notice is that it is growing through a glass platform, being sustained by two rivers that flow through and around it. So these rivers start where that big grand entrance is, and you're not sure if it's like person/magic made, or if maybe this is like a spring that the queen has tapped into and uses it to sustain this tree. But it flows through, you see lily pads, you see like a couple frogs, like it has life in it. You then notice this massive throne. Everything around here feels organic in a way. The throne is a mass of like twisting vines and flowers. There's a smaller seat next to it, fit more for like a regular sized individual that is also made of twisting vines. And then there are sets of 2 chairs that go around the entire circle. These are also made of living vines. Depending, you can kind of honestly guess whose seat it is made to be for, because not only is there a small crest built into the backs of the chairs, there's also flowers that correlate with the color of the gems that are on their badges.
Oh, that's cool.
There are also chairs, like rows and rows of chairs alongside where the rivers flow, and you imagine that that's probably where the general public is going to sit during this day-long hearing. The pervading color of this like throne room is pinks and greens. The glass has stained glass paneling around where the tree is, intricate, what almost kind of looks like windows a bit in the way that they're structured. They're varying shades of green and gold as they circle around. As you walk in, everyone is sort of talking, milling about on this platform, and Titania notices the 3 walk in, and then she raises both of her hands, and you see, so in between 2 groupings of chairs, the paladins and the clerics, a chair forms, and then between the artificers and the fighters, another chair forms out of vines. You imagine that this is probably where Varys and Alara are going to be sitting, but you're not sure just yet where Ivy's going to be sitting.
Are the chairs on the opposite sides of the room?
Yes. So the paladins are sitting right next to where the queen's chair is. The artificers are on the other side.
Okay.
As you watch these chairs spring up out of nowhere, essentially made of bark and vine, just kind of from the live growth around. You all will see Titania standing in the center back of the room where her chair is, and she's wearing a sleeveless pink gown. Again, always has these kind of intricate vining flowers on it, but you'll notice that on her hands, almost what looks made out of gloves are more vines and like flower buds that go all the way up to like the middle of her upper arm.
Mm-hmm.
And she nods at the three of you as we all walk in, and you see that there are where the like towards the back of the room, I think where the door is, there are some people that are milling about on the inside. And as you walked in, you noticed a big crowd starting to form on the outside of the doors, waiting for court to begin. She gestures to the two chairs that she just apparated, essentially, and stands there with her hands clasped in front, waiting for the three of you to take your seats. Ivy, you know where your seat is already.
Yeah. So I think the two of you watch as Ivy makes her way to that chair that sits next to Titania and takes a seat.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. Nobody finds this out of the ordinary, by the way.
I think Ferris is going to look to Alara, notice the 2 extra chairs that she grew, and hand her back her things. I don't think we're going to be sitting next to one another.
She looks petrified, like so uncomfortable.
Oh.
And I think she slides the stuff up her sleeves and she keeps her worry stone in her hand and she just nods. She doesn't even say anything or like takes a deep breath.
It's going to be alright.
Okay.
It'll be like sitting through the longest lecture you've ever had, in school.
In a different world with,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, okay. And she just walks away. She's like mumbling to herself as she walks away. She starts walking towards Basil and Vassell, but Vassell kind of like clears her throat as she gets closer. And when Alara looks up, Vassell shakes her head no, and then like inclines her head towards the seat across the way for her to go take her seat over there. And Alara like does like a half, not a bow, but like she kind of like makes herself smaller, I think, and like scurries over to the other side. Her metal sleeve, her metal sleeve just clinking and clanking as she goes in the silent room.
It's not silent. People are talking.
Fair, okay.
I think right now the paladins are talking with the clerics because they sit next to each other.
And Alara just is like, oh, hi, excuse me. And she sits down and she like nods at the paladins and the clerics. And Lysandra looks at Alara and she goes, thanks for the show this morning. Takes her like a second and she goes, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. I thought it was Ivy's. And Lysandra shakes her head and faces forward like she's not interested in continuing this conversation with Alara. And Alara just sits there, like rubbing her worry stone.
Oh,
yeah.
The dent is gonna get bigger.
Her fingers are gonna
friction.
be like raw from like rubbing so much. Like, and she's like focusing on like taking deep breaths.
I think Varys will go stand with Alara until court starts. Like, he knows where he should be.
Mm-hmm.
But he's gonna go stand beside his friend for moral support,
She looks up. She's like,
Hello.
Hi.
It really will be alright.
I know, it's just weird. I don't like it.
I understand. He like leans down, like next to her. He's like, just picture everyone in non-defense. It's fine.
She giggles. And she starts looking at everyone.
I think the 2 clerics are 2 women.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them looks at you and she's like, honestly, it's more boring than anything.
Alara nods.
Nothing truly exciting ever happens.
She's like, I don't know if that's worse or better. In her head, Alara nods. Thank you. It's gonna be a long day. Yeah?
She nods as she waves her hand. I assume that you are Lady Ivy's friend?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you been told not to thank anyone yet?
Several times.
All right.
It's part of my shtick, But thank you. She fucking smacks her.
I feel like Varys actually puts his hand over her mouth that time. And then he like pulls back, he's like, oh, sorry.
She waves her hand.
She sighs.
The other cleric sort of snickers a bit.
It's gonna be fine. Just a long, boring day.
Everyone nods.
Yeah.
Okay.
The paladins nod. The clerics nod.
There's just like the most boring class you've ever taken.
I can do that.
Mhm.
Thank you. She shrugs and says it again. Thank you. To Varys.
Of course.
What does Ivy do?
Ivy's sitting with the most like stoic, bored expression you've ever seen on this woman's face. She's like sitting up with the most proper posture. She's got her hands in her lap, crossed over, and she's just like staring straight ahead.
Kind of this. I don't think that Titania looks bored, but she very much has this stone-faced expression a lot of the time when she's not just pretty much with Ivy. I think she sends you a message in your head. Like, I think she does a sending. You are sitting very straight, but please, the face.
She like, I think she breaks just a little. You see this like little smirk.
Mm-hmm.
Titania hears back, I'm trying to dissociate here.
Your punishment, my dear, is not to be dissociating. It is to pay attention. If you want responsibility and you want independence, you must listen to the people, and we will help aid them through their troubles.
She nods, and I think her expression softens a bit, but she stays straight. I think like that, just like that very like posh posture.
Mm-hmm.
But her face does soften a little bit.
Much better. Okay. Varys, you'll notice because you're the one who's not seated. People will start to get quieter now that everyone has arrived and everyone kind of takes their seats. You get the feeling that this is your cue to kind of go sit down.
Yeah, he gives Alara's shoulder one last like little encouraging squeeze.
She like puts her hand on your hand and like squeezes it back.
He crosses the room. His posture is perfection.
Vassell nods at you as you sit down.
He nods to Vassell and Basil.
And court begins, my friends. So all of this is very familiar to Ivy. She's been privy to many court days, both for punishment and for learning experiences. There are two kind of parts to a day at court. The first part, Ivy, you know, is typically a touching base with everybody on the council. And you know that the handful of people that are standing in the back, all of them are also Eladrin. All of them are wearing a brooch with 2 gems in it. So you know that they are high rank people of different classes. They kind of will move up to the front, and you know that typically these people will be here to give reports to whoever their superior is, right? So a cleric will report to the clerics. They might be here to corroborate some information or give additional information that Titania is asking of her counselors, because these are the people who are kind of out in the field, right? You know that these are trusted people. I think there's 5 people here who are not on the council but are going to be reporting to the council. I think 3 of them you recognize. One of them is like a second in command to Lysandra and Xandros the Paladins. One of them works for your parents, so you know that person very well. And one of them reports to the Rangers. And I think the Rangers are often out scouting the lands. And so very often you've seen this person over the years is pretty much a constant there, because there's always kind of updates and things that need to be reported regarding this is what they've seen and done while they were out scouting the Seelie. We're not going to do 10 hours of court, dear listeners.
Darn.
We're going to
so
give
excited.
you a little speed through. But I think that Titania kind of straightens, everyone gets silent. The 5 people come up closer and they take seats, waiting essentially to be called. Titania looks around and she stands. When she stands, everybody stands. Alara and Varys will quickly see everyone standing, and I think probably stand as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Titania goes, as always, I am rather grateful that you all are here today. Let us begin. And everybody kind of bows and nods. And then when she sits, everybody sits back down. She looks first at Lysandra and Xandros. What further reports from Kindron? You'll see Lysandra, I think, nod at the person who's sitting at the front row. And they will stand. Another summer Eladrin. They're all Eladrin here except for the changelings, Basil, Alara, and Varys at this point. Ivy's a winter Eladrin. But you'll see this summer Eladrin wearing the crest of the Paladins with the 2 gems come up to the So this tree that kind of descends now down, leaving a podium in its space. They come up to the podium, bow, hesitate for a moment, take out some papers from like a pocket on their chest, and they shake their head. My queen, we have lost Kindron. There's like a silence. You will hear some like shuffling, and you see the rangers, the two council people who are the rangers, will nod to their delegate who kind of stands up and joins this person at the podium. And she comes up and they kind of both glance at each other, and she looks at Queen Titania and she goes, I've seen it with my own eyes. The priest of corruption have moved in and taken over the town. The darkness is encroaching further and further into our territory each day. Titania nods. I am disappointed to hear that we had to lose Kindron. But in this, we all know that we must make sacrifices as we continue to push forward with the light. Were people able to escape, or did we lose them too? The paladin speaks up. Your Grace, we did our best, but we had to abandon them at some point. We took as many with us as we could. She nods. She looks at Basil and Vassell. And where are we coming along with the weapons?
Yes, right. Everything is moving according to plan, thus far.
She nods. And Vassell then will kind of eye the person who is their delegate that's here. The Eladrin who's sitting in the front, kind of the front row. She will stand up and she will come forward. And the other two will kind of back away. And Titania will nod at those two, letting them know that she's done with them. Ivy, I think you're used to this. Everything is very matter of fact with Titania. She doesn't betray anything. I think this is shocking to you, though, just kind of what you've just heard and how nonchalant she is, because you've never heard this before, right? You've never heard that a town was taken over. You know that there have been towns in the past that have been lost to the in-between, but that has been more of the people's accord. Like, so it was a decision essentially made by the town to forsake the light and go to the in-between. Not that it was like a hostile takeover.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you want to make an insight check, Ivy, you can, on just like the vibe of the room.
So that is a 13. Lucky 13.
I'm going to make like a group roll. If you want to make a roll for Basil, I'm going to make like a couple of just like group rolls here. What Basil get?
15.
So you look at your parents and they look like they always do. Attentive, concerned, but not overly, like not like you feel like there's anything to worry about. You look at the paladins, same deal, no reaction. I think you notice the clerics. They're not speaking, but you can tell, I think, that they are like speaking to each other, sending messages to each other. Not alarmed, but there is some chatter that's happening. I think what you do notice is as the two people are walking back, that Titania just kind of dismissed, the ranger and the paladin, they look like they thought that there was going to be more of a discussion taking place. And you can see them kind of exchange a look of concern. As the artificer comes up, who, Ivy, you've known since you were like a kid. Her name is Milor, and her dark golden hair is buzzed like close to her scalp. And she has glasses on, but one of the lenses is actually like a goggle lens that can extend and zoom in like a microscope. And she comes up and she kind of like unfurls these, what you probably would recognize to be like schematics. And she just runs down a very detailed explanation of these schematics that make no sense to you, very little sense to Varys, and like a minor amount of sense to Alara. But Alara's actually like
Interested?
Yeah, she's a little honed in because she's like, this is my language. And she runs through that, and Titania nods. She rolls up the paper and she goes back. I think she touches base with the clerics. They talk about, how they're working on mass healing, things like that. One of the people that comes up is with the clerics. She does ask the wizards as well about what they've come up with so far regarding the portal research and getting Alara and Varys back to Elisora. They both kind of confer with each other quickly. One of them just goes, we have begun research. So far, we have not discovered a way to safely send them back. If you don't want us to rip their world open and potentially destroy it, We may need more time, but we are confident that we can find a way. Make it your top priority. And she looks at Varys and Alara and kind of like nods. I would like for them to be able to safely get back to their home. And she will go around and she will touch base with everybody on the council. You all notice that the fifth person that was sitting there, who Ivy you recognize, who you don't recognize the person, but you know by the brooch that they work for the rogues.
Okay.
They never get called up. When she gets to the rogues and she's kind of questioning them and asking them questions, how the others kind of looked to their person to come up, that doesn't happen with this. And then she goes around the whole circle. And once she's done, she dismisses the 5 of them. This probably takes about I think 2 hours of just conversation, checking in with everyone. You know, sometimes there's silence when she will kind of, I think, be making decisions and things like that. And then she dismisses the 5. And then open court day begins.
Yeah, the good stuff. Let's go.
When the doors open to let the first people in, you see countless people outside the doors. The doors open and people are kind of standing on their tippy toes trying to get a glimpse in. There's guards who are kind of forming them into different types of lines and things like that. You get a glimpse as they're kind of asking questions. Varys and Ivy, with your passive perception, you see the Eladrin who didn't get called on walk out, and someone comes up to him and they kind of have a quick exchange, and then they go 2 separate ways.
I think when Varys sees the rogue and that other person exchange really quickly, he looks a little weird because they weren't called on, but they were there. He kind of side eyes Ivy from across the room. He might not make eye contact with her. I don't know what she's doing, but
I think she noticed the exchange, and I think her eye sort of automatically travels to Varys, and she gives this little shake of her head.
As in saying, I don't know, or
it's literally minute, and it's I don't know.
Yeah, he has a micro expression of confusion.
Yeah.
For a second, and then he goes back to his flank.
She's I'm gonna put a little pin in that.
Yeah.
Little
too.
pin.
Some of this stuff is familiar to Ivy, meaning the requests, the things that are happening, right? There's always people asking about small things, right? Solve their problems. This guy stole my chicken, he won't give it back. Or, he said he was going to give me 6 eggs from the chicken. He only gave me 2.
A lot of chicken-based questions today.
Yeah, a lot of chicken-based questions today. So-and-so, said they would do this for me and they didn't. You're the queen, hold them to their word.
Yeah.
Titania takes it all with grace. Alara, I think, depending on the ridiculousness of the request, is her level of paying attention. She will kind of hone in when it's something really silly, just to see what no one's laughing. Everyone is really serious about this. So you'll look at her when she's about to laugh type situation, and you will literally see her hiding her, her mouth or something like that.
I think Varys makes a point to look in and see, to look over at Alara when something is ridiculous, because it's funny and her reaction just makes it better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just sitting there trying not to laugh. She's definitely relaxed by now, I think. Good. When she gets to this stuff. Then there's also people, and so Titania is, she takes it all in stride, very nice and kind when she turns people down, making them think it was their idea. Not magically, but just the way that she kind of is, right? And then there's also people who are trying to get out of their deals. And again, it's familiar to Ivy, and there is some stuff where Titania will actually intervene, and she will kind of make a decision on who was right and who was wrong. And there are some people who come in to plead their case that wind up getting arrested for either wasting her time to a point where it is something so ridiculous, or because they do something that
Jail for wasting my time.
Jail for wasting my time, or for people who have actually broken the rules of the Seelie. In fact, there are some people here who come in throughout the day, this long ordeal of a day, to ask for the release of their kin who have been arrested. And it's very much a conversation where Titania is what did they do? Is this in accordance with what the laws are here? no, do you also want to get arrested for wasting my time type situation. And so this goes on and on and on. What are you guys doing during the first, like, let's say like 3 hours of this?
Ivy is paying attention. I don't know if you can tell she's paying attention because she genuinely keeps this like very neutral expression on her face.
Mm-hmm.
Because mainly she's never received warmly by the people who come in.
Mm.
If they even like look at her, there's probably a lot of like disdain.
There are some points where like they'll stop and people like the council will kind of try to make a decision about some things. A lot of the time, Alara and Varys will notice that when Ivy is brought into the conversation, the people who are asking for things will have a reaction to it, right? Almost like why are we doing that? You know what I mean? Why are we asking her? It's not anything overt that would get them in trouble. It's almost like people know how to toe the line with Ivy and Titania.
Been doing it for over 100 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's very clear that she is not warmly received by even the regular citizens of the Seelie.
And I think every time she is brought in, she tries to be as like level. She doesn't let any of this get to her, right? She's used to this. This is just the way things are. She will continue to be as like, honestly, as like gracious and fair as possible with her opinion on it. I think to a point that even like Varys and Alara are like, where is this Ivy been? Because the Ivy they know resorts to violence very quickly. This Ivy advocates against violence. But yeah, she's very, very like princessy, I guess, is the best way I can describe this. This is like normal. This is something she navigates very well. And I think it's probably like kind of wild to see.
Yeah. What about Varys?
I think listening attentively for the first 3 hours for sure. I think that when he notices the subtle towing the line, I hope that Queen doesn't feel pain to the chair, because sometimes he like grips the arm of the chair. We know he's got a temper, right? He doesn't like anyone insulting his friends or being rude to his friends at all. But I think he keeps it in check and hidden pretty well. I think he is watching the scenery before him, impressed with Ivy's ability to remain neutral and cordial throughout the entire court session so far. And just like walking back and forth between Ivy and Alara, checking in with them occasionally, you know?
Yeah. I think Alara has also been looking. So sometimes she won't look at them when she wants to laugh, because she knows that, like, you know, that thing where like if you look at the person, you know you're going to laugh. And she's already having a hard enough time not laughing. So she won't look at them. But then sometimes when something is said, she will look, you know, she'll like, oh, did you just hear that? You know? At one point, I think when it gets boring, she takes the gem and the Swiss Army knife out of her sleeve and she starts just like carving into the rock, almost like a fidget, right? You'll look over at her at one point and she is just like hyper focused on like, if anyone looks, it's nonsense. She's not like, she's practicing rune carving, but she's not actually making anything, you know?
Mm-hmm. Basil definitely notices, because he's been father bearing them this whole time. I think paying more attention to those three than the actual complaints.
Alara, as you're carving, you start to feel a set of eyes like burning into you. And not in like a malicious way, in like a very genuine, like, what the fuck is she doing? Is she doing what I think she's doing?
She looks up, looks around.
You make eye contact with one of the sorcerers.
Mm-hmm.
You're unsure of like, I feel like what their deal is.
Can I make an insight check?
Yeah.
12.
You're unsure of what their deal is specifically. But they are watching you like very intently. Like they're watching your hands as you carve.
Hmm.
And I think when you make eye contact, they give you this look that you're not 100% able to decipher, but gives you the feeling of like, are you casting magic right now?
She like looks at them and just like, you know, when like she's caught, but like she's still trying to be like stealthy about it. She like slowly slides everything back up her sleeve and then just like sits up straight with her hands in her lap and like focuses on whatever is happening down below.
Girl, 6 people just saw you. Maybe more.
Yeah, that sorcerer is gonna watch you the rest of the time.
Cool. She's like, God damn it. So Alara focuses on whoever is down now at the podium.
So as you focus your attention down, you see 2 people. Both of them are Eladrin. Some are presenting as of right now. One of them is in the process of saying how the other has put a curse on their crops, so their crops don't grow as well anymore. The other one is explaining how the other person asked for fertilizer, not for a curse, and that's what they gave them was fertilizer. And so the original Eladrin pulls out a loose handful of dirt
Oh my
and
God.
presents it to Tanya. Like, test it.
She looks over at the changelings, the wizards, and you'll watch that one of them will cast detect magic on the soil. Is it cursed?
No.
Or like remove curse or something like that. Like they'll do whatever, their due diligence.
Literally nothing even happens. Like the magic descends and it just is soil. Like a little bit drops off more onto the pristine floors.
Titania, she looks down after this, it's very clear. What is interesting to me is that you could have solved this on your own, no? Someone could have cast detect magic or remove curse. This is not forbidden knowledge here in the Seelie.
Well, no, but and people did, but I thought it was a higher level curse.
She
And
nods.
my crops are like half the height they should be.
Well, now we know it is not. We will send you back with some new fertilizer for your crops, and we will see perhaps that will help them grow again. How does that sound to you?
He nods and he does this like very low bow with the dirt, and it falls over more onto the floor. And the other guy looks so relieved.
As they walk away, you watch the dirt just kind of like absorbs into the floor
That's cool.
and disappears.
Varys side-eyes Basil. And Basil just like shrugs.
He's like, oh, you thought that was bad?
No, Varys is wondering if he's ever heard of the concept of crop rotation.
And then at some point during all of this, Varys and Alara will recognize the gnomish woman who they saw the day before arguing with the guard walks in, and she comes up to the podium. And I think there's like accessibility stuff there for people, because there's so many, like, people can come in and they can be of varying heights. You'll see that the podium, because it's made out of this living wood, will shrink and grow as necessary to accommodate people's different heights. So as Nina comes up, as she's walking up, this podium shrinks down so that it is at a comfortable height for her. Alara's like paying attention because she's like, oh shit, this is that lady who was screaming in the hallway. And essentially, she, more confidently than most people who have approached the queen, she bows, but it's like quick. And she relays this story. Your Grace, my name is Nina, and I am here to request your aid. I was engaged, set to be married, and move in with my partner. And not a day before we were supposed to move in together, she called everything off, and she disappeared. She's living now in Politonia, and there is something going on there. Everyone there they behave so strangely. And Titania listens. And you've all heard stuff, right, throughout this day. Jilted lovers, somebody left me, family members fighting, things like that. And so Titania listens and she looks down. What exactly do you mean by strangely? Just not like themselves. Different. Out of the ordinary, out of character. And she nods. And this is kind of a situation where, like, she'll ask the people on the court, has anyone heard any similar stories about people acting strangely from any of their scouts that have been out in the Seelie patrolling and gathering information? Nobody says anything. And she nods. And, like, very gently, she says, it sounds to me that perhaps she has changed her mind. If no harm has come to her or this town, it is not something that we can spare the guards to go and investigate at this time. Without more to corroborate what you were saying. You see she like goes to say something, and then she just bows quickly and like storms out of the doors.
I'm sure that won't come up ever again.
No way. Time passes. Ivy, one thing you do notice as the day goes on, you realize something that is different in this whole kind of scenario that you've been through so many times. There are a lot more people who are coming in reporting. They're not asking for anything. They are reporting that the darkness is spreading. There's people who come in and they're talking about these like nefarious beings who are kind of like stepping boldly over the border from light to dark. What?
Sorry.
Varys?
I just
Getting yeeted.
yeah.
Someone
Yes.
comes in.
Yeah.
You want to do it?
It's like I saw a man get a dead body get yeeted out of the Unseelie.
This crew of 3 people kind of rush in and they say that, and then another one was like, yeah, he was flying like he flew just right out of the darkness. You gotta get him.
You gotta get him. Ferris looks at him and raises an eyebrow.
He got airtime, another says.
And then one of them looks and they see Varys sitting at the court, and they do like, they kind of like jump back and like the 2 friends catch them, you know what I mean? From like falling. And they point right at Varys.
Witch!
And Titania, I think Titania like stifles a laugh at this point, because like, it was very, very good of you to come and to report this. As you can see, it was a big misunderstanding, and this person was actually gathering information for us. What is it that you need? What can we do to reward such perceptive vision?
Ferris is fucking dying on the inside.
Well, we are gathering kits to see better days, and that's what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
We were back gathering herbs when we saw that person fly through the air.
Right through the air.
Right through.
Like so high.
Uh-huh. So maybe we could get a new one?
Titania nods. And she kind of looks to somebody who also nods. How about we give you 6 instead of 3?
Their eyes widen.
They should last you a long time, yes?
They all nod vigorously and bow very low.
Yeah. In between, Varys puts his head in his hands.
Ivy breaks and she like brings a hand up to her mouth and just sort of like looks down.
When the next time that Varys looks at Alara, she points at him with like wide eyes.
He nods.
But all that silliness to say, Ivy, this type of conversation used to be hushed and kind of like controlled, in that it was not openly spoke about in open court. And if people had these kind of complaints, or not complaints, if people had these kind of reports, because they did, they would be brought in separately from the masses. So in the time that you have been gone, it seems now like it's being openly addressed and talked about. And as always, Titania, a mask of no emotion. The only thing is you do see the flowers will kind of wilt and bloom, giving some indication to her pleasure and displeasure, you know? I think a group of like farmers come in at one point, and one of them comes and kind of like speaks for the others, and it is it's an elven man. Essentially, he kind of comes and, you know, very humbly comes up and, you know, he's like, my queen, there is a terrible sickness that has been spreading amongst our livestock. We have not been able to feed the town. They keep dying. Titania will ask some follow-up questions. I think after a little bit of conversation, it is decided that she's going to send a small team of like druids to go with them. So you will also see that at some points, there's a lot of like nodding that goes on, right? So like somebody will say something, Titania will nod, someone will come up and do something, give someone something or take someone away. For the cases where people do need help in their homes, there are teams that are kind of ready and prepped to receive more information and then be sent to go aid. And this is one of those cases where the kind of consensus is, okay, we're going to send a team of druids who are going to kind of look over and see if they can help heal whether it's the land or the animals. I think by this time, I want to say we're about like 7 hours into this. There has been no break. No one's gone to the bathroom. No one's eaten. No one's drank anything. I think at one point, Ivy and Varys, you look over and Alara she's got her legs kind of hugged up and her head on her knees, and she fell asleep. She's sleeping.
She definitely gets a lot of side eyes from people walking in.
In between people coming and going, Varys will cast Sending to Alara.
No.
And be like, psst.
She jumps awake, and I'm going to make I want to see if something falls out of her sleeve. What kind of roll would that be?
Dexterity saving throw.
Or a general luck check.
Well, it's a 9.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
Something comes out.
So I think she kind of jumps awake and kind of flails her arm out. I think the gem she was carving just like everybody just watches, because I think she like goes when she wakes up, and just watches like almost in slow motion as the gem just like arcs and lands. Let's see, where does it land? It lands by Ivy.
She bends down and picks it up and looks it over and like quirks an eyebrow at Alara.
She mouths, sorry.
She slips it into there's a pocket in her skirts, so she'll slip it into there. Thanks so much for listening. We are grateful for the love and support.
If you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review and tell your friends about us too. A like, subscribe, or share goes a long way for small creators like us.
If you want more Tales of 3, head over to our Patreon, where we have a ton of free bloopers and episode extras, as well as some paid tiers with even more perks.
Speaking of, huge shout out to our Green Fiend Patreon supporter, Michael.
Also, if you join the Red Rogues for $5 a month, you'll get access to RDCC, an after show where we deep dive into character motivations, player reactions, and give a glimpse at our creative process.
And with that, our story pauses here for today. Join us next time as we continue our adventures, and remember, it's never too late to start your own.
Bye!
It's just super quick. I think when they all see each other at the court today, the paladin should say something.
Absolutely, yeah. How's that shock and shove move coming for? She gonna lock herself in the bathroom?
No, she goes and takes a shower.
Cool.
It's like, what is this staring contest for? What is happening right now?
Like, what are you doing? Go do it then.
She's being super shifty today.
Yeah.
For the long haul.
We're going.
I don't have enough time to do 10 hours.
We're doing it tomorrow. We're starting early.
Actually,
9 to 9.
9 to 9.
I'll call out. I'd rather do 10 hours of this.
You're like, I don't want to go to work. So
I do 10 hours of court here.
Yeah, then go to work.
I think the worst bit wouldn't be the sitting and doing it. It would be the coming up with 10 hours of content.
That would be
For
I
a court scene.
think we would surprise ourselves. So eventually, like halfway through, we'd be like, fuck it, someone attacks the queen. Game on.
Nemeth strolls out.
And then it's just level 20.
I have a complaint, bitch.
Could you imagine?
Yep. Just takes off a metaphorical glove and like throws it on the floor in front of me.
Yeah.
Fight me, bitch.
Oh my god.
I've used a surprise Pikachu meme.
Alara's sleeping, like, what?
Laura gets nudged awake by like Lysandra. She's like, what?
That's amazing.
Ferris is like, fuck, yes, entertainment.
Thank God. Varys had resorted to alphabetizing his spell components in his brain.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
He's going over the pronunciation for every spell that he knows.
Yeah.
Imagine being if like somebody was listening to his thoughts.
The other wizards are just listening and they're like, oh, that's wild.
Like,
right,
you must be really bored.
He just goes,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My voice cracked, sorry.
Of course.
Varys is
Ivy?
going through puberty yet again.
Yeah.
No.
Obsessed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Laura, your
So
car's here.
So happy. She gets in and she's like, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here, bitches.
Mm-hmm. But thank you. No. Goddamn, it's so easy for me to say thank
Yeah.
you.
Chickens. I don't know.
New, they're maybe like their herb gathering kits are old and rusty.